Karoline Leavitt's clapback left the host and his panel completely speechless. The studio hummed with quiet tension. Cameras rolled. The city skyline glowed through the glass windows behind the set. But inside, all eyes were on the stage. At the center sat Grayson Holt, a name that commanded attention in liberal media. He had built his career on razor-sharp monologues, viral takedowns, and the kind of sarcastic confidence that made his audience cheer and his opponents squirm. Tonight, he was about to take another shot. Across from him sat Karoline Leavitt, young, conservative, and completely out of place in this room. Or at least that was what everyone assumed. The panelists flanking Grayson exchanged knowing smirks, waiting for the spectacle to begin. Grayson leaned back in his chair, crossing one leg, over the other, fingers tapping against the desk like a drummer counting in the first beat of a performance. "All right, Karoline," he began, dragging out her name like a teacher indulging a student who had just given the wrong answer. "Let's cut through the fluff. You're young, ambitious, and somehow convinced that the Republican Party isn't just a retirement club with better tax breaks. Tell me, are you here to defend outdated policies, or are you just auditioning for a Fox News primetime slot?" A low chuckle rippled across the panel. Someone shifted in their seat, amused. This was familiar. Grayson setting the stage for another routine takedown. Leavitt didn't blink. She clasped her hands together on the desk, listening, waiting. She didn't rush to defend herself. Grayson took that as an opening to push further. "I mean, let's be real," he continued, adjusting his blazer as if settling in. "Conservatives love parading people like you around. Fresh face, camera ready, but at the end of the day, it's the same script. Tax cuts, personal responsibility, some vague nostalgia about the good old days. It's predictable. The only question is, are you in on the joke?" The camera zoomed in. He was smirking. The panelists were watching with thinly veiled amusement. Leavitt tilted her head, her expression unreadable. She was letting him talk. Letting him dig. "Is that a serious question?" she finally asked, her voice smooth, unshaken. Grayson shrugged, spreading his hands. "Oh, I'm sorry. Did I hit a nerve?" Another chuckle from the panel. The setup was complete. Grayson was comfortable, believing this was going exactly as he planned. But something shifted in Leavitt's expression. A flicker of something dangerous. Not anger, not nervousness, but certainty. She leaned forward, eyes locked on his. Grayson sensed an opportunity. He had been here before. Young conservatives coming onto his show, trying to hold their own, only to crumble under the weight of his sarcasm and experience. So he leaned in, pushed harder. "You know, Karoline," he said, drawing out her name again, "I have to admire your confidence. It takes real dedication to be part of a party that, let's be honest, would rather see women stay in the kitchen than in Congress." The panel erupted in laughter. Even the camera crew chuckled. It was a clean hit. Leavitt's face didn't change, not a twitch. Grayson noticed but was convinced she was just keeping up a front. He kept going. "And I have to ask, do you actually believe what you say, or is this just a long-term grift? You know, say the right things, keep the donors happy, maybe land a cushy gig as a pundit when this all falls apart." One of the panelists, a journalist from an online progressive outlet, smirked and jumped in. "Let's not forget the GOP playbook," she added, shaking her head. "Find someone young, marketable, and willing to repeat the same tired policies in a fresh package. Honestly, Karoline, do you ever feel like they're just using you?" Another round of laughter. The rhythm of the attack was picking up. Grayson saw his chance to land the knockout. "I mean, look at your position, Karoline," he said, shaking his head. "You're out here defending a party that fights against diversity initiatives while parading you around as their youthful, modern face. Do you see the irony, or are you contractually obligated to ignore it?" The panelist next to him chimed in, laughing. "Come on, Grayson, don't be mean. Maybe she actually believes all this." Grayson grinned. The audience, the cameras, the viewers at home. Everyone was watching her now, waiting for the inevitable stumble. But Leavitt still didn't blink. Instead, she shifted slightly in her seat, straightened her posture, and let the laughter die out, on its own. A full 2 seconds of silence. The energy in the room shifted. The moment was hers now. Then she exhaled, tilted her head just slightly, and spoke. "Are you finished?" Grayson blinked. It was subtle, but the power had just shifted, though no one realized it yet. The laughter died faster than he expected. He had been sure he had her. The audience had been on his side. The panel had backed him up. So why did it suddenly feel like he had lost control of the room? Leavitt leaned forward slightly, keeping her hands on the table, her expression unreadable. "Are you finished?" she repeated, her voice even. Grayson forced a chuckle, shaking his head. "Oh, Karoline. Don't get all dramatic. It's just—" "No, really," she cut in, her tone so calm it was unsettling. "Are you finished? Because I want to make sure I let you get all your little rehearsed jabs out before I respond." The room tightened. Grayson's smirk faltered just for a fraction of a second. The panelists shifted. The camera crew, suddenly aware that something real was unfolding, instinctively adjusted their angles. They weren't expecting this. Leavitt tilted her head, not smiling, not frowning, just watching. Then she spoke. "See, Grayson, this is what you do. You set people up with smug little sound bites, get your panel to laugh, and then expect your guest to stumble, get defensive, or shrink. And usually it works. But here's the problem. You didn't do your homework on me." Grayson let out a dry laugh. "Oh, believe me, Karoline, No, you didn't," she interrupted, voice steady. "Because if you had, you'd know I don't fold. And I certainly don't let people like you define me." The room was dead silent now. Grayson sat up a little straighter. For the first time, he wasn't in control. Leavitt shifted her weight, her voice picking up just enough to cut through the tension. "You call me a token, a puppet. You act like I have no agency, no original thoughts, like I'm just here to regurgitate talking points. But here's the irony. You're the one sticking to a script. You came in here with the same tired attacks, the same predictable insults because that's all you know how to do. Mock, dismiss, belittle. That's your entire playbook. And yet I'm the one who's supposed to lack originality?" A sharp pause. Grayson had no immediate response. Leavitt didn't give him room to breathe. You sit there and act like you care about women having a voice, but the second one speaks up, in a way that doesn't fit your narrative, you mock her. You act like you care about young people being engaged in politics, but if they're not reading straight from your script, you try to discredit them. You talk about progress, but the second someone challenges you, you fall right back into the same condescending routine. She leaned back finally, a smile, but it wasn't friendly. "You don't want a conversation, Grayson. You want a punching bag, and I'm not here to be one." Silence. Heavy. Absolute. And then the show cut to commercial, not because it was planned, but because someone in the control room panicked.